So this is actually my 50th video I've made for my channel, and because of that I wanted to do something a little bit more special. So I went ahead and decided to do another list video, and I hope you guys all enjoy. Weirdly enough, we're already almost at the end of the decade, and that's gotten me thinking about the best movies of the decade, especially within certain genres. And I recently realized that with the release of Joker, that is the last actual comic book movie that we'll be getting for the rest of the year, so it's the last one of the decade. So today I wanted to talk about the best comic book movies of the decade, of the 2010s. Now, I am specifying comic book movies over superhero movies because I want to be a little bit more inclusive to some other movies that have come out that I know a lot of people really like, that I like too. However, I will be excluding straight-to-video animated comic book movies because while I do love movies like The Dark Knight Returns, I have not seen nearly enough of those animated straight-to-video movies to give a really good opinion. Maybe I'll make a list later down the road about it, but for now, I'm excluding them. So, let's get started. Number 15, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman breathed new life into the overall drab and bleak DCEU that had been marked down by Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad, and this is thanks to the visionary direction of Patty Jenkins. And even despite a fairly cliched third act, the rest of the movie shined enough with breathtaking cinematography and a star-making performance from Gal Gadot. Number 14, Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer comes from the creative mind of Bong Joon-ho about a future dystopian train society where the lower class decides they will no longer live in their terrible circumstances. A tense and entertaining thriller, Snowpiercer features a great cast and a narrative that stays surprising with twists and turns throughout the entire runtime. I don't want to forget to mention Chris Evans gives a great performance as the lead in this movie. Number 13, X-Men First Class. X-Men First Class saw Matthew Vaughn revitalize the X-Men franchise after the previous two movies were critical flops. Bringing the franchise to the origins of the X-Men in the 1960s really gave the franchise an opportunity to ground itself with a non-convoluted story and reintroduce fan-favorite characters. And not to be left out, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender give amazing performances as Professor X and Magneto, respectively. This also won't be the first time you see Matthew Vaughn's work on this list. Number 12, Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is the hilarious meta-movie about a comic book fan who takes up the mantle of an extremely inexperienced superhero. This ultra-violent, bad-mouthed comedy also comes from Matthew Vaughn. In opposition to Kick-Ass's experience, two experienced vigilantes, Big Daddy and Hit Girl, steal a show with a fantastic performance from Nicolas Cage and a breakthrough performance from Chloe Grace Moretz. Number 11, Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow was a breath of fresh air that takes the risk of basically mixing Independence Day with Groundhog's Day. Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt shine as the soldiers fighting against an alien invasion, and incredible action sequences, and a surprisingly gripping story. It's a movie that ended up being much better than it was marketed as, and despite its underperformance at the box office, Edge of Tomorrow has proven itself to be a fan favorite in the years since its release and is actually slated for a sequel now. Number 10, Deadpool. Deadpool was every comic book fan's dream come true in quite the most literal sense. A couple years before the movie's release, there was leaked footage that was released online of Ryan Reynolds' real potential as Deadpool. And with an outpouring of positive reception from fans, Fox actually made the decision to make the movie, and it delivers. Ryan Reynolds gives probably his career best performance as the Merc with a Mouth, and this hilarious, fourth wall breaking, and overall fun as hell ride of a movie. Number 9, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier saw the MCU delve into untouched territory of spy thriller for the first time in their plethora of movies. The Russo brothers' first outing in the franchise sees Captain America challenged in a completely new way with the mystery of the Winter Soldier and Hydra. With gripping action and a tightly written narrative, this is the most interesting Captain America has ever been on screen. Number 8, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was the brainchild of the wildly entertaining Edgar Wright. This movie is not only gorgeous to look at, it is also effortlessly charming and quotable, and with Wright's direction, proves that the more outlandish visual concepts of comic books and video games can work on screen if done correctly. Number 7, SpiderMan Into the SpiderVerse. Into the SpiderVerse was not only one of the most surprisingly good movies of recent memory, but was also the Spider-Man film we didn't know we needed. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller helped bring to life a vibrantly animated movie with very well-rounded characters. The movie also features an incredible voice cast and an endlessly entertaining story. And most importantly, this movie seems like it will inspire a whole new generation of filmmakers. Number 6, The Avengers. The Avengers was the first movie to make an unthinkable concept work. Preceded by several individual movies set within the same universe, The Avengers brings them all together for an action-packed adventure. Pulled together by an ambitious vision and Joss Whedon's witty direction and script, the movie helped make superhero movies a box office juggernaut and inspired several other production companies to try and achieve the same milestone. Number 5, Kingsman: The Secret Service. Kingsman: The Secret Service is the third and final entry directed by Matthew Vaughn on this list. Vaughn's slick direction and distinct style pokes fun at the spy genre while also embracing the best parts of it. With a breakthrough performance from Taron Egerton and what is easily one of the most iconic action scenes of the last couple decades, Kingsman was one of the most pleasantly surprising movies of the decade. Number 4, Avengers Infinity War. Infinity War was released with an incredibly hard-to-reach goal. This movie had to be able to bring about 30 main characters from the MCU together in a balanced way and make sure that its villain was well worth the 6-year build-up. And it delivered. Oh, did it deliver. Thanos is one of the most fleshed out comic book movie villains in years. The movie is filled with visual effects, eye candy, and action, and gives us one of the biggest cliffhangers in film history that lit the internet on fire with fan theories. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is based off a little-known, recently created Marvel team. James Gunn creates a setting outside of Earth for the first time in the MCU that feels very lived in. Pulsating with visual creativity and interesting characters, Gunn makes a film that was surprisingly endearing and full of heart. The most surprising thing about this movie is that no one expected it to work nearly as well as it did. And now the Guardians of the Galaxy are one of the most popular superhero teams in the world. Number 2, Avengers Endgame. Endgame was arguably one of the highest anticipated movies of the decade, with expectations raised to ridiculous heights by audiences from the previous movie. Endgame takes the surprising turn to make a fairly grounded movie that focuses more on character development for the first 2 acts and pays homage to the previous films. The movie also gives audiences a breathless third act that is filled with very much so earned fan service and delivers a satisfying conclusion to the 22-movie Infinity Saga. And before I get to my number 1 pick, I was not able to include every movie that I enjoyed from the comic book genre that had come out in the last 10 years. So I wanted to mention a couple that I think deserve the recognition. So here are my honorable mentions.
One small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
You look just like your old man.
darkness is your ally. You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.
Number 1, Logan. Logan is the gritty character study and final outing for Hugh Jackman's 17-year run as Wolverine. Personally, Jackman's portrayal of Wolverine made me a huge fan of the character growing up, so I was very excited for this movie upon release. The decision to make the movie rated R was a wise one, considering the violent tendencies of the main character, of course, and satisfied audiences with finally being able to see the bloodier side of Wolverine. Director James Mangold does a brilliant job in making the movie grounded and truly understanding the nature of Logan. Hugh Jackman delivers what I think is his career best performance, accompanied by Patrick Stewart's portrayal of a decrepit Professor X. I still think the pair of them deserved at least Oscar nominations for their efforts that year. They didn't, but that's okay. I won't complain too much about it. And newcomer Daphne Keane also delivers one of the best child performances of the decade as Laura. From the cinematography to the score to the acting and the action to the heartfelt goodbye to a beloved character, Logan accomplishes all of these things immaculately, and that is why I think Logan is the best comic book movie of the decade. Now, what did you guys think? Did you agree or disagree with my entries? What do you think should have definitely gone on there? What shouldn't have been on there? I know that people will argue with me on this, but it's my personal list. And tell me what you thought. And I'll be back with another video.